For a long time I didn't think I had to use that term, but now I think I'm an alcoholic. My third day of sessions with my shrink. Mr. Camille, you ready today? Me. I don't know, but I'll try my best. 7 years ago everything was going well in my life. I was living alone, my parents hadn't been together since I was very young. My father lives a few kilometers from the city on his farm, and my mother, she started a new life 2 years after their separation. My life was perfect, I had a good job and I excelled in my field, with a very good salary. One evening after work, I went to get some fresh air, and try to think about a new project, and there I saw a beautiful lady, Rita. Quickly, I invited her to join me and we started talking. She was just interesting. And then we got used to seeing each other every night at the same cafe, but things went so fast and we fell in love. Rita had a daughter almost my age. The age difference between her and me was no barrier to our relationship. I couldn't sleep a wink at night knowing that she was by my side. Then I began to feel the need to marry her. On my wedding day everyone was there except my father, since he never had time for me. The ceremony went well. My mother paid for my honeymoon trip to Africa, to Kenya. I had a wonderful time and now I have my little family. What could be more beautiful to be happy? After the wedding everything was going well in my new life, until the day I found out about my father and my beautiful daughter, Sara. I could not judge my father or condemn him, although he was partly to blame for this. If he was often present in my life, none of this would have happened. The shrink. How did this happen? Me. My father is the king of bullshitters in the world. Despite his age he is still cute and very elegant, but since his separation from my mother he has only been around young girls between 25 and 30 years old. On a dating site, my dad met Sara, my stepdaughter. After several encounters, he decided to install Sara in one of his apartments in the center of Paris. Sometimes, I would surprise my wife giving advice to her daughter. She and I would ignore the person who was now dating Sara. As for me, my father used to tell me about this beautiful young woman of 28 years old with whom he used to spend holidays all over the world. I also didn't know it could be Sara. A few months later, my father tells me that his new sweetheart is pregnant and wants to marry him. So he asked my wife and I to come over and meet him. Rita and I still didn't have time to drop by. Then months passed and Sara gave birth. During this time my wife Rita was away on business, so I went alone to visit Sara, but the father of her baby was also away. 2 months later, we received the wedding invitations. We were first invited for the engagement. When I saw the address of the apartment, I was getting closer to the truth, but I just couldn't imagine my father and my daughter-in-law for a second. We arrived, everyone was there, including my mother. My father was so happy and everything was going well until we were introduced to the bride. When my wife saw her daughter, she burst into tears, but the other guests didn't understand anything. The reality was so real that my wife and I couldn't digest it. In shock, I didn't know how to react. I called my mother and explained to her. My mother started shouting at my father, "You're never going to change. That's the mess you've made, at least I'm leaving and I'm leaving you in your bullshit." My mother slammed the door and left. And I just said to my father, "Congratulations, you just engaged my beautiful daughter and thank you for giving me a little brother." I took my wife and we got out of there. That's how it all started. I didn't realize that it was going to get worse, until the day I saw the pictures of my father's wedding and my daughter-in-law's wedding on social networks, but to top it all off, my wife was there. And meanwhile, my wife was also expecting a child, my first boy. The shrink. "I still don't see why you drink so much." Me. I would really like to stop and get back to work, but when I think about the mathematical pattern of my family, it brings me back to the same nightmare. Tell me, who am I compared to my father, my beautiful daughter and their little boy? Who is my wife compared to me, my father and my half-brother? Who is my son compared to my father, my daughter-in-law and my half-brother? Tell me finally what I need to do to stop drinking. Share my story and your advice is useful. Don't forget to send your math diagram.